Good morning and welcome to another episode of Like It or Leave It. It is someday in May. It is the 3rd. Figured that out. Hope you guys are having a great day. Hope you guys are having a good week. It's hump day. We're almost to the weekend. Kind of, sort of, not really. But, that's what we keep telling ourselves to push through. So, I like to say we always have a lot of things to talk about. One of the things I'm learning as I'm doing this is we're in a really headline-starved sports world at the moment. There's not a lot of really good headlines going on right now, which is why people are kind of just reusing the same ones that they've always used. And it used to bug me because I'd sit there and watch shows and be like, man, he's talking about this again? Like, it seems like we got the same thing. You would just get different people's perspectives. And not that different people's perspectives is a bad thing. It's just it kind of runs its course and gets a little boring after a while. But I completely understand it. I've been sitting here trying to think of, that's why I was initially 5 days a week. And then it's like, well, now that I'm on consistency issues about getting up and posting and recording and doing all the stuff I had to do, it was also, I just didn't feel like there was enough stuff to do 5 videos. Like, when we get more headlines, there's more things going on, I'd love to do 5 videos a week. But unfortunately, we're not at that point yet. So for right now, we're sticking with the 3. And part of that just to do with the fact of just not a lot of headlines going on right now. In fact, I know I'm guilty of repeating it, but it's one of the only things we have to talk about at the moment is the Cavaliers, LeBron James, the Warriors. Kind of going to hear me say some similar things or stuff that I've already said before, but there's no information that I want to bring out and stuff that I'd like to talk about with it. So these playoffs I've called on more than one occasion. Kind of boring. We've had a few exciting moments, but pretty much everything's been predictable. I mean, you even go to the games last night. While, yes, it was exciting to see Isaiah Thomas score 53 points, and that was a really good game. It's still expected. Like, the Celtics, I said they were a not confident number 1 seed in terms of the fan perspective. Like, no one really views them in that league or that category. But they're still a number 1 seed. They're still playing at home. So for them to win the first 2 games is not really that shocking. People are going to say, oh, well, you said the Wizards were going to win. John Wall was going to dominate. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I did. And I still think the Wizards are going to win. And I still think John Wall is going to dominate. Because if we're going off the first 2 games of the series mattering or defining who wins, we'd have a completely different playoff bracket right now. Do you guys remember the Celtics were down 0-2 to the Bulls? Yeah. Do you guys remember the Raptors were blown out and dominated? I don't want to say blown out, but they were dominated in game 1 and really were on their way to losing game 2 to the Bucks? So the first 2 games of a series, they're not overrated, but they really don't mean as much as people think. No, the series does not start until someone loses a game on the road. I know that's really old cliche, but it's so true, and it holds up whether statistically, the eye test, or if you just watch enough sports to know. Until someone loses a game on the road, no one cares. The Warriors and Jazz, I mean, no one's beating Golden State. Can we just everyone was talking about the Cavs are getting all this hype now for they're going to sweep the East and make it to the finals. It's like, median if they did, I'm talking about the Cavs of Blade. I want to simply focus on just the playoffs themselves. But the Warriors are just, they're winning. They're going, I've got this particular Warriors team going 16-1. I think when you get to a certain level of greatness, you simply challenge yourself to do even greater. I never liked the whole, well, LeBron's so great, he just rests during the regular season. He takes games off to be ready for the finals. He's made it to 6 straight finals. I really don't care that he's been to 6 straight finals. I'm more bugged that he's 500 in those finals. So clearly resting a half-ass method is getting him half-ass results. But it's okay. It's LeBron. He's the greatest player in the world. He can do whatever he wants. This is his league. He runs it. Forget the fact the Warriors are on the greatest 3-year stretch in the history of the sport. Have a chance to not only think about this, within 3 years, the Warriors were set the NBA regular season record for wins in a season, set all kinds of scoring and three-point records. Steph Curry's won 2 MVPs, has set the 3 greatest shooting seasons of all time. They have Draymond Green, who is, for this era, almost a transcendent player, even though he'll never get the credit. The 200-plus wins over a 3-year stretch. They have the two. I think they finished at like 230, They're 220 something is I think where they finished at, which they passed the Bulls record, and they're gonna have 2 out of 3 titles. We'll have a chance this playoffs to. I have them finishing 16-1. They really might go 16-0. They really might go 16-0. Which gives them the greatest postseason all time, the greatest regular season of all time, multiple MVPs, defensive players, a dynasty team that is, if you take out Kevin Durant, is really built through the draft, which is the way everybody would love to see it happen. This is what OKC was supposed to be with Green, Harden, or not Green, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, put Green in there. Put Jeff Green, James Harden, Russ Westbrook, Kevin Durant. This is what they were supposed to be. So I don't want to hear anything about LeBron's greatness. Let's just take a second and enjoy the Warriors. Even though I get it, it's extremely boring for the rest of the league, and I understand that. I'm not a Warriors fan. I don't claim to be a Warriors fan. I particularly don't like seeing my favorite team get their ass busted by the Warriors every time they play them. But let's truly appreciate how great they've been. Like, it is otherworldly. Like I said, when you're great, you challenge yourself just to do greatness. They challenged themselves to get the most regular season wins ever. They got it. I think this year they're really challenging themselves to not lose a game in the playoffs. I think they're going to do it. No, I'm sorry. I think they lose 1 to the Cavs. I think they're going to break the scoring margin record. They're going to go 16-0, 16-1 in these playoffs. Have the greatest regular season ever. Have another title in there. Have multiple coach of the years, which that team is so good, they don't even need a coach. I've never been on the side, outside of maybe when I was a little kid, of coaching doesn't matter. Anyone can go out and anyone can go out and coach Tom Brady, coach Peyton Manning. That's a load of bull. Not anyone can go out there and coach LeBron, evidenced by the fact of how many coaches LeBron had. Not everyone can go out and coach Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson. Like, if Phil Jackson deserves credit for anything, he's the greatest head coach because not only was he given superstars, he knew how to manage those superstars, and those superstars respected him. The Warriors are so good. Excuse me. The Warriors are so good. They don't even need a head coach. I could go out and coach their team. And trust me, I'm not qualified. Sorry, I rambled on a little bit in that segment. I had things I want to talk about. I'm going to talk about the Cavs here in a little bit. But it's like I had just general NBA talk I wanted to get out. But it turned into just like the Warriors are winning the finals. It's not close. They're the best team in the league. And until something else I'm talking about later in the show happens, they will continue to be the best team in the league. Let's go to baseball. Also, shout out to I had to wear the purple shirt today because my homeboy was laughing at me yesterday saying, oh, you got that Barney shirt that you going to bring out. So shout out to you, Hernandez. Just saying, rocking the purple. Don't be mad just because you can't rock it. White Sox beat the Royals 6-0. Cardinals beat the Brewers 2-1. Dodgers 13-5 over the Giants. Angels 6-4 over the Mariners. And the game I went to last night, and I'm sorry and I'm going to talk about them next. The Padres beat the Rockies 6-2. I'm sorry, Colorado. I made one video, talked about you once, and you've lost 4 out of 5. I'm sorry. I truly am sorry. It is one of those things. So, in life, sometimes things are what we want them to believe, what we want to believe they are, and sometimes they're what they actually are. I said last week the Rockies were one of the best teams in baseball. I did not call them the best, but I said they're one of. Even got my purple, for my Colorado. I've made 2 other videos describing the Cubs and the Red Sox, and I've been very consistent about this. So no one can even call me on saying like, "Oh, well, you're just biased." No, I have the same opinion about every team. Position by position, the Rockies are still one of the top 3 teams in baseball. There's only 2 other teams that I think can make a legitimate case to why, or to having the same amount of talent position by position as the Rockies do. The Nationals can make that case. If you look up and down their lineup, everyone on the field, they've got it. Plus, they have a far superior rotation. Like that's not even close. The Rockies' rotation is not that good, but that's not what we're going with here. The Nationals can make the case position by position. The other team that I think makes a slight case, even though no one will probably take it as serious, but it's only because they have such markups at some of the positions, it overlooks them being weak at 1 or 2, is I think the surprise team of the year and my personal AL underdog is the Detroit Tigers. Go look at their 1 through 9 for a second and tell me how you don't see that team as being great. Went to the game last night and Rockies lost 6-2. Went with some Padre fans, so they were talking their stuff. Every time I looked at that field, the Rockies were still better. Their players looked better. They looked bigger, stronger, faster. They hit the ball better. Yeah, last night was a bad start by Tyler Chatwood, but hey, that's another issue. Pitching is not their strong suit. When you have longer seasons like the Rockies do, and Major League Baseball does, or like the NBA does, streaks are going to happen. Good streaks and bad streaks. But consistently, great or really good plays out over an entire season. So if you're telling me Ian Desmond, DJ LeMahieu, Trevor Story, Nolan Arenado, Gerardo Parra, Charlie Blackmon, and Carlos Gonzalez. And then they have Tony Walters a catcher, even though he just got a concussion last night. 7 of their 9 guys legitimately could make an all-star team. People say, no, you're being biased. No. Look at their numbers. Ian Desmond just came off a year where where he hit 25 home runs and played great for the Rangers, far better than anyone thought he was going to play after a disappointing season with the Nationals. But would you be shocked if Ian Desmond hit 30-plus home runs at first base with the Rockies in Coors Field? DJ LeMahieu, who just won a batting title and is a Gold Glove second baseman? Trevor Story, who he's off to a slow start, but at 27 home runs in 97 games. And I don't want to hear the Coors Field argument because I was talking about my friend this last night. Nolan Arenado 2 seasons ago hit more home runs on the road than he did at Coors. And last year, he hit 7 more home runs at Coors. 7 more home runs at Coors than road. And he has more home runs on the road this year than at Coors. And Trevor Story's really close too. Or a lot closer than people think. Trevor Story's got potential to be a 30 home run shortstop. Nolan Arenado is one of the 5 best players in the game. Gerardo Parra Okay, I think he's made one All-Star. I think he made an All-Star team a couple years back with Arizona. I don't see him being an All-Star. Charlie Blackmon, who was a Silver Slugger, and I'd make the case is the second best center fielder in baseball, because center field is just not a really deep position at the moment. And if you take out Mike Trout, it's a large drop-off. And Carlos Gonzalez, who's a multiple-time All-Star, a top 10 talent player, I will say this, one of the streakiest guys in the league. I will say that Carlos Gonzalez to me he's only put together one really great full season, which is 2011, I believe was the year, where he hit the almost 40 home runs. It was him and Tulowitzki went crazy. But that Rockies team literally only hung on by the fact of when Tulowitzki was hurt, Cargo played like the best player in the game. And then when Cargo got hurt or just wasn't playing well, Tulowitzki was the best player in the game. Like, I've never seen two guys carry a team like that. But consistency over 162 games plays itself out. The Rockies 1 through 9 are better than. I'd make the case that they're the best 1 through 9 in the game. But the Nationals have a really strong arm, and so do the Tigers. And especially because Bryce Harper, if he's going to play like Bryce Harper of 2 years ago, is one of the 3 or 4 best players in the game. And Miguel Cabrera is the second greatest right-handed hitter I've ever seen in my personal lifetime. Albert Pujols is number 1, and I don't want to hear any arguments. Albert Pujols is by far the best right-handed hitter I've ever seen in my lifetime. That man has a greatness video coming soon. Respect. Shout out. Pujols. Streaks, consistency, player by player, position by position. I talked about the Cubs and Red Sox being inconsistent, unproven, position by position. And if you look at both those teams, not that they're struggling, but they're not playing nowhere near like people thought they were going to be. Chris Sale's a monster, though. I have to put that out there. That man is. I used to struggle with who's the second best starting pitcher in baseball after Clayton Kershaw. It's Chris Sale. Yeah. So I'm defending my Rockies pick before all you guys jump me and say, "Oh, see, told you they're not that good." Just wait for the season to play out. You know how I know we don't have headlines in sports? You know what was on ESPN yesterday? FS1 yesterday? Regular local news that were doing sports? This was a headline, by the way. I want you to think about this. This is how bad it's gotten. Cavaliers star forward Tristan Thompson and celebrity girlfriend Khloe Kardashian having issues. They're getting into arguments, saying Tristan is putting the team before his relationship. I don't watch TMZ. I don't watch any of these reality gossip shows or anything like that. So maybe I'm just not the person to talk about it. But if I'm watching ESPN, if I'm watching Fox Sports 1, if I'm watching local sports channels, I don't care about the Kardashians. I don't care about these guys' relationships. I want sports. Not, well, did you hear this guy's having trouble with his girlfriend? Ooh. It's not a headline. That's how bad it's getting. Name me through 5 things we can talk about in sports nowadays that's not LeBron, the Warriors, or the NFL draft. Because no one seems to care about anything else. Everything else comes and goes. It is a really dry headline business right now. There was a headline on, there's an article on ESPN. I thought it was actually pretty interesting. It was Kyrie Irving recorded his first game with double-digit assists, and he got this immediate pass because his game requires him to be a ball hog. So he's got to shoot more, and he's got to score more. And that's why he doesn't get double-digit assists like these other guys. All I ask for, I've already stated my opinion about Kyrie Irving. I'm not going back and rehashing that. Can we just get consistency, like, on how we rate players or how we criticize players or anything like that? Because I was pretty sure that exact same logic was used to defend Westbrook, and people killed him over it. but Kyrie Irving gets to do it. Oh, he's with LeBron. Can't touch them. Oh, no. That's the king. That's his guys. It's no. They're great. The Cavs, I can't wait to do an I Told You So video where I just talk. It's after they lose in the finals, and I say I think they're getting 4-1 out of the finals. They might even get swept, honestly. It's not a good team. Kevin Love is deteriorating. He's literally gotten worse year by year since Minnesota, since that one breakout year he had in Minnesota. But we'll talk about that later. I'd hate to offend the king until then. Another story I want to defend. This is how you can tell we don't have any headlines. I've got to rehash old stories that I used. But it's a good story. Chris Paul to the New Orleans Pelicans is getting a lot more hype now. It was initially a fan fiction, I guess, if we want to call it that. It was more fan hype. Like, there was a bunch of things. Now it's looking like a reality, and this was written. I loved it. It was written about a week and a half ago. So game 2, game 3 of the Clippers Jazz series. Chris Paul is playing great, like he normally does. Check his playoff stats, by the way. The guy's he's a walking Hall of Famer. One of the, I think, 5 to 10 best point guards of all time. And the guy wrote, Chris Paul is not going to be returning to New Orleans as a free agent this coming summer. Please stop waiting to hear the phrase come out of Chris Paul's mouth in reference to him returning to New Orleans. Chris Paul has 3 teams that he's legitimately considering, and not one of them are the Pelicans, nor do any of them even start with a P or represented by a bird such as that. Okay. But 2 days ago, things are a little different now. Chris Paul going to the Pelicans sounds like a real idea. Same exact writer. Chris Paul now considering Pelicans as a place this summer, as a destination this summer. Between continued frustration between teammates, front office, and other executives in the building, Chris Paul considering much more than a month ago leaving LA and returning to New Orleans. I said this a month ago. If you look at the situations, because first off, none of these guys are really that loyal. Like, there's no loyal guys in the NBA anymore. I mean, Westbrook's trying to be, but there's no more loyal guys in the NBA. Chris Paul left New Orleans, a place that he loved, for LA because LA had more talent, better coaching, better, at the time, front office management. He took the better proposition. You work at a job. I just had a friend. She just got a new job. She used to work serving ice cream. Now she's got a really nice office job. Better pay, more hours, better staff to work around, better conditions. Let's consider it now. If you look at what the Clippers had then in Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan was still kind of prospecty, but showed real flashes, which is what Chris Paul wanted to see, and that's what got him to LA. Well, now you flip the script. Anthony Davis, Blake Griffin. I'm going to take Anthony Davis, and I think 99% of the world would too. DeMarcus Cousins, DeAndre Jordan. I'm going to take DeMarcus Cousins, and I think 99% of the world would too. You look at their bench. Paul Pierce just retired. Jamal Crawford's older. JJ Redick was a no-show. Luke Mbah-a-Moute, I don't know if he played like some booty. Like, the Pelicans, on the other hand, have, while not great, much younger, much more versatile bench players. Etwan Moore, Solomon Hill, Quincy Pondexter will be coming back from injury, Jordan Crawford, younger guys, more athletic, faster. It's a better situation. It's more talent, better front office at the moment, because no one knows what Doc Rivers is doing. Making his son rich. We know he did that. Sorry, I had to get a drink of my coffee. None of these guys are that loyal. It's just like when you work a job, you move up, you go to the better company, the better situation. The better situation and the better company right now is the Pelicans, and it's time for Chris Paul to move on. Let's get like New Orleans. You guys need to get a petition started, get banners started, get some like Chris Paul come home, because you get Chris Paul on a trade and a 4-year deal. That's exactly what you need to get Cousins to re-sign. You already got Davis for 5 more years or 4 more years, whatever it is. It is the only team, and I sincerely mean this, it's the only team I can see knocking off the Warriors. It's the only team I can see knocking off the Cavs, because what do the Warriors struggle with, if you can say they struggle with anything? They can't really defend the paint against legitimate big guys. DeMarcus Cousins and Anthony Davis have great games against the Warriors. The Greek Freak had a great game against the Warriors. Andre Drummond's had great games against the Warriors. Big guys give them issues. Who stopped LeBron? Big guys. Tyson Chandler hurt LeBron. When Tim Duncan and Thiago Splitter gave LeBron issues. Andrew Bogut gave them issues. It is the answer and the only way I think you stop Cavs Warriors round 5. Because otherwise, the next 2 or 3 years, they're just going to dominate. And that's not fun for anyone unless you're in those 2 markets. And let's be honest, San Francisco's too expensive and no one wants to live in Cleveland. Fans, I made a video criticizing people for booing Mitch Trubisky. I think it's barbaric. I think it's too gladiator. I just thought it was stupid, flat out stupid. I'm gonna make this one quick. Fans are like customers. The customers are always right is one of the oldest sayings in the world, and it's the most untrue thing you could possibly say. The fans and customers pay the bills. That's correct. That's true. Saying they're always right, that's false. Adam Jones on Monday was called the N-word at Fenway. I don't even have to get into how stupid and how annoying racial insults are, and don't even have to get into the overarching topic of racism. The fact is, if you want to boo a guy because he plays for the team, that's completely fine, and most players embrace it. Look at the NFL draft this last weekend. A bunch of guys came out of Philly rival teams, and they hyped at the fans, they wanted to get booed, like, yeah, because you kept it to just that. You did not break this plane of, I'm going to go farther. You know why a lot of people get in issues and get in arguments and get in real fights? It's because normally you're joking around with your buddy, you're sitting down, maybe you're sitting down, drinking a beer, watching a baseball game. You're watching the game, stuff happens, yada yada. You throw a couple of casual insults at each other, like, "Oh, our pitcher's better than yours. Your guy can't even hit." Then someone says something about someone's mom, and it goes down. You just escalated the situation. You just took it somewhere it did not need to go. As a fan, I can tell you, most fans are idiots. And the fact that this kind of thing still happens shows most fans are still idiots. We need to get past the booing draft picks, calling guys racial slurs. Get past just the idiot mindset of whatever caveman came by and clonked you on the head. It really does not need to happen, and it really needs to stop. Like I said, I'm not going to take long here. This is just like, if I don't know if any of you guys have seen or watch Power 105 with Charlamagne, Envy, and Angela Yee, Breakfast Club. This is a donkey of the day kind of moment. Fans need a donkey of the day. We're booing guys who get drafted, who they have something they have no control over. We're booing guys, or we're calling guys racial slurs for literally something they have no control over. Are you kidding me? I don't have the button or nothing, but fans, you guys get my personal donkey of the day. Grow that up. Once again, you guys, like always, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, SoundCloud. I'm trying to get my thing up on Apple and see if I can get the podcast going. I promise you, I've got the greatness video coming out. I've also got another special video I want to drop. I'm hoping to drop it on Sunday. I'll even have a guest with me. It'll be super cool. But yeah, word of mouth, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter. If you tell your neighbors, tell your kids, tell your neighbors' kids, tell your kids' neighbors. Don't know how that one works. But hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you on Friday.